ladies and gentlemen. I'm also one of the non-researchers in this audience, so I'm a bit tense explaining you what is the perspective from the car makers here. So, well, indeed, we have a few examples I'd like to talk about. So my presentation will talk a bit about history. We've had a few images and films about history. And then safety as a system, we've already heard a lot about it. And the special application for low and medium income countries for us. And what is our perspective, and then the application. This is these are some images, or this was a film about old images about all the crash testing that were made in the 60s by Renault. So we've been involved in safety for a while now, and investigating pretty much before this has become a regulation or a media problem or media aspect. Well, okay, we've got now a few dozens of cars which have reached 5 stars in Euro NCAP, but that's for Europe, and I don't think we're here for Europe exactly. So, in fact, what I want to tell you is that since the beginning, we've been involved in trying and understanding what the real-world safety is. So you certainly know about the LAB, the Laboratory for Accidentology and Biomechanics. Yves was one of the director of the lab in the past. And we are continuing to work with the lab to gain knowledge about real-world safety. So obviously lab is working very much in Europe, mainly in France, but we are trying to develop in other countries to try and understand what are the specificities in those countries. We'll see that later. So safety as a system, you probably know this figure that Yves provided me with recently. So, okay, the well-known pillars. We try to be present in all these pillars as much as we can. Well, we are car makers, so we've got that timeline that you certainly know. And we try to be present by some activities in all of them. And especially, we try to do something on the first bullet, which is, in fact, raise awareness. Raise awareness is a key aspect, we think, for safety as a global thing. Obviously, we work on the other aspects, including the last one, the tertiary safety. And I can say that we've tried to influence, for example, Euro NCAP now, by including some aspects of tertiary safety in their protocol for the years to come. We have a strong relationship with rescue teams. And I can tell you there's a firefighter just next to my desk working with us on these aspects. So it's not only crash worthiness, it implies a lot more activities. So we all know this head-on matrix. Okay, as I mentioned, it's very important for us to be present in all these cells. Provide obviously more in some and less in others. So now I'd like to try and explain you what is our perspective when we try to design a car for a given market. So once again, I really want you to understand that we are concerned about safety, because safety somehow is a moral requirement. And in the end, we are all convinced, well, a vast majority of people are convinced in the company that we have to deal about safety. But we have to do it in a sustainable way. And for me, this is the main, let's say, message I want to convey to you today. We have internally a set of rules, a code of ethics. We know what society are expecting from us, so we try to deal with that, but we also need to make things sustainable, and for us it means profitable. Profitable means if I sell a car which is too expensive for its market, it will not find a customer, and then we will have to withdraw that car from the market. So we think that circle between those aspects is a difficult balance, and we have to find a way, and we are finding our way to manage this more or less efficiently. So, and one thing is very important, I think. I've just heard recently that, for example, in France, there was a big improvement on road safety by the impulse of Jacques Chirac some 10 years ago. I think what Jacques Chirac did was made possible because the society was ready to hear that. So for him, it was both a risk and a threat and an opportunity to put that and to trigger that trend, and to have people accept that speed limitation was something that needed to be enforced. So awareness is a key in this, and I don't believe that there's the special hero that will change all things all of a sudden. Only 3 minutes. And I think Ralph Nader is same kind of thing. He was like a spark, but he could use, or globally the safety could use lots of research and research made by other people. And Ralph Nader triggered this and made it possible to create Nissan, or what you know. So for us, I think that awareness is absolutely key, and you will not do things without the consent of people. And I'm saying this because we are selling to people. I think that, in fact, in the system, we car makers and the politicians are directly in front of the general people. They are elected by the people, and we are selling cars to people. So somehow they choose us, okay? So we have to find a good, let's say, equilibrium between all the constraints we are having. So car makers will support awareness up to a certain level. So we are very happy that Global NCAP started to do their program in India, because before it was almost impossible to do too much about safety in India. So when they started their program in India, okay, it sure is that there were some discussions internally in the company, but actually we almost made it, because in fact we were just a bit late. So I think this is something we are happy to let's say be in. That system we are happy to be in. So once again, we are talking about business. And I'm sorry to say so, but we are businessmen. So we must sell cars to exist. We must make money out of it. So I'm insisting on this because this is not very glamorous, but this is the way it is. And if we want to be in the long term, that's what we have to do. And sustainable is short, mid, and long term. Long term means if you are identifying as a unsafe car maker, you do not exist any longer. This may take time. No, this may be very quick, and then it takes time for recovering. So we have to deal with all this. Regulations, what do they are? In fact, regulations is a minimum safety for everybody. It's also a way to say people, you will buy such a thing. You will buy ESC in Europe. Before regulation came into force, we were proposing ESC at a very low price, and the take rate was about 15%. So, okay, then people told us, okay, we'll make it mandatory. So in fact, it means that people will have to buy ESC because we will not give it, okay? So all this about sustainability. We have to be competitive. We need to seduce our customers. Okay. So
is that only the females, or is it all sexes?
What about?
The people you're seducing.
No, everybody. We are trying to everybody. Yeah, especially females, if you don't mind. 50% of the buyers are female. I remind you. So
we might have to edit that out.
Pardon?
We might have to edit that out of the video.
Yeah, we are trying to seduce everybody. So overall, let's talk about the Indian case because I've been involved in it for a little bit. So we are committed to support road safety. We need to better understand, but at the same time, okay, so we are trying to support the existing organizations there, either through the lab or through our partner Nissan. But indeed, before we get some feedback from these researchers, it will take time. And anyways, if we want to start something, we'll have to start with what we know already, okay? So at first, at least, solutions are likely to be the same than high-income countries. Innovation, so I think you could understand that those markets are very fragile, very fragile. The sustainability is not guaranteed. So we cannot really innovate strongly in those markets. It's very difficult. And they've got their own specificities. For example, everybody is talking about the ADAS and especially the AEB for VRU. It's not anything close that we will put AEB VRU in India, for example. It is way too complex to tune for the road conditions in India. You must have in mind that validating an AEB is about 1 million kilometers. So it's extremely complex. It's not just, okay, I see a pedestrian and I brake. It's far more complex than that. So what we think we have to do is replay old history, but taking shortcuts. For example, it's very likely that ABS will be very soon appearing and be standard everywhere in the world. So ABS is one of these examples. So we also, okay, it's the end. It's the one that last slide, I guess. Renault is involved in the FIA and UNECE we were discussing before. I think this is a very good discussion, and the target that is being discussed is feasible, is sensible. So okay, I think we can continue that discussion. We need something basic and rugged because let's say. We need that our customers are happy with our products without having any problems. So we need to use a proven technology. And then innovation will come later. And AEB will probably be one of the first, let's say, innovative, so-called innovative technology to come in those countries. So I'd like to explain what we did a little bit, and that will be my last slide, about the QUID. So the QUID, this was an interesting story because the QUID started to be designed when the global NCAP started also, and at this time we didn't know exactly how to put the level of safety of this car. So after a few publications by Global NCAP, we said, okay, we cannot jeopardize the launch of this car, but at the same time, participating to the Global NCAP is kind of taking our part in the awareness program of safety in India. As Dinesh was saying before, main share of casualties on Indian roads is not in cars. So okay, there was some debate internally whether protecting people in cars was the right thing to do. But I guess, in fact, we did right. Because doing this, we help raising the level of awareness of safety in those countries, in India in particular. This car is equipped with has a version with an airbag. It's 2/3 of the sales. So the best-selling version is the one equipped with airbags. It is competing. Oh, sorry. It's this one. Yeah, okay. It's competing with cars which have no airbags whatsoever, and probably not complying UNR 94. So the buyers who buy, the customers who buy Quid, in fact, they buy it because it's kind of a different car. It's we address very specific customers. We sell 3 times less cars than our next competitor. And when we check the rationale for buying this car, safety appears very far away. It's not a reason for buying this car, even if it is better in terms of safety than its competitors. So we have to balance the difference between what the competition is offering and what we put on the market. I think we are happy with what we did, but indeed, you know, it's not an easy job to actually well balance the effort you put in the cars. Well, in fact, in the Brazilian version, safety was a prerequisite. So we got 3 stars in Latin NCAP, and Latin NCAP was very happy about this. And so were we, because in fact, in Latin America, safety awareness is higher than in India. And it was absolutely necessary that for such a budget and small car, we could show a good level of safety. So I took those 2 examples to show you what are the difficulties we are facing when trying to position a car in terms of safety. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I suppose we have some questions.
Oh, yes,